Would you like to take your side hustle or small business to a new level? If so, stick around today. Welcome to the Profit Dare. On this channel, we provide simple financial solutions that inspire savvy stewardship. If this is your first time joining me, thank you so much. If you've been here before, thanks for coming back. If you're a subscriber, blessings to you. So I want to talk about a book I wrote that was released earlier this summer. And the book is called Next Level. And the book is designed to help side hustlers and small business owners take their business, their side hustle, their side gig, whatever, to a new level. And the book is loosely designed around a book I read in grad school called Six Thinking Hats. And what I've realized in my life in business, and I've coached thousands of business owners, I've reviewed thousands and thousands of financial statements and helped businesses take their business to a new level, or even some of them just survive because things are really difficult. Unfortunately, I've also seen some businesses fail totally.
Bankruptcy!
Most business owners are really good at a couple things conceptually. In the Six Thinking Hats, the book, the author says, I might be a very upbeat, positive person and thinking everything's possible. We can win in any situation. And sometimes you had to be realistic. And someone else may be like a Debbie Downer, always talking about how bad stuff is, and they never have any inspiration. But if you come to a meeting and you're forced to take on a different persona than what's natural for you and say, all I want you to do is spit facts, that's it. No opinion, just facts. Or what could go right in this situation? Or what could go wrong in this situation? And in the next level, in my book, The Next Level, that's what I do. And I separate the roles in the business or small business or a side hustle into very specific, what we call the C-suite. Now, the C-suite is chiefs. It usually has a chief before the name. So chief executive officer, chief financial officer, chief operating officer, chief legal officer, which we call general counsel, chief technology officer, chief risk officer, all these different roles. And most big companies, especially publicly traded companies that are massive, have the resources to hire a person that fits that specific job title. Whereas a small business owner or a side hustler really has to do all of them. And what often happens in these situations is they do a couple of them well. They're visionaries, so the chief executive officer hat is worn, fits really well, and they can just talk about their business. They have great vision. Oh, we're going to do great things. We're going to build the best hamburger in the city. We're going to do this, whatever. Maybe you have a food truck. We're going to have the best tacos that mankind has ever tasted, and it has great vision. They also do very well often in the chief operating officer role, because that's kind of where you get down to the down and dirty. The chief executive officer says, this is what I see us doing. He or she says, this is what I see us doing. And then they hand it off to the chief operating officer, says, make it happen. There's a funny bit that Bill Burr does about Steve Jobs talking about inventing the iPod or whatever. I want all my music on this phone. And he just hands it off to somebody. So chief executive officer has the vision, chief operating officer, make it happen. But most businesses can do well. If you are a chef, cook, and you want to open a restaurant, most likely you'll do very well at making things happen. You have the vision. You can actually, make a burrito, whatever, make a steak, cook ribs. I don't know what it is. Or if you're a mechanic, you can turn a wrench. You have a vision for helping people with cars. You can turn a wrench. You can repair cars. And so those things happen. So the chief executive officer is the visionary. And the great Bible verses where there is no vision, the people cast off restraint. We have to have a vision of what we want to accomplish. You'll arrive somewhere. Jim Rohn says this. In 5 years, you will arrive. The question is where? So if you don't really know where you're going, you'll end up anywhere. So it's important from a small business owner, for a side hustler, to have a vision. Where are you going? Point the direction of your business in a certain way and go there. I was in the Navy for 5 years, stationed in San Diego for 4 of those 5. And we went to Hawaii more times than I probably wanted to, because every time we go out to sea, we'd head west towards Hawaii. Now, Hawaii's a big island, right? It's a big island, relatively speaking. But if our course of that ship was off by 2 or 3 degrees and we're headed towards Hawaii, but we're off 3 degrees either way, we'd miss the island, right? So a chief executive officer is the visionary. The chief operating officer is the person who makes things happen. Now, we'll go into each one of these into great detail in later videos, but I'm just doing a highlight right now. Once we get past those roles, it starts getting a lot more challenging for side hustlers and small business owners. Let's go to the next one. The next one I'm going to talk about is the chief financial officer. No, let's back up. Let's talk about the chief marketing officer. Now, a lot of times people who do not own businesses, they believe all business owners are rich. They have just a weird idea that most business owners have a money tree in their backyard, and they just go into the tree, pluck off a $5 bill, a $10 bill, a $100 bill. They just don't understand how businesses work. Sales is brutal. The chief marketing officer's job is to market the company, establish a market, fill the market, and increase sales.
Always be closing.
Typically, every sale generated has to be fought for. People don't just hand over their hard-earned money because they like you. Does it? You might be able to sell like a $2 cup of coffee maybe, or a $5 cup of coffee. But what if your business is something more complex and a piece of machinery costs $500,000? So, but even coffee, as simple as it is. I mean, I live in the Midwest, and you have the big, the usual suspects nationally. You have your Dunkin', your Starbucks, but locally we have Big B, we have Tim Hortons. We also have very small niche local chains, right? Our local restaurants, one-off places. So even if you want to start a coffee business, you could sell coffee for $5 a piece, which isn't going to make or break somebody, but the competition is fierce. So a chief marketing officer, so sometimes this person that has this great vision for this company or can make this stuff happen, they have to get out there and actually hustle. They have to knock on doors, so to speak, and generate business. My friend Joe Graham has a podcast called the 150K Podcast, and he's always talking sales stuff. He's a phenomenal salesperson, crushing it out all the time down in Texas and helping people do it, right? And he understands, and you hear him talk. Sales, man, it's not easy.
Hey, this sales thing isn't so easy.
So, but you have to have the skill set, the hat, the chief marketing officer has. Some people have a great vision, but they just do not want to talk to people about buying stuff. In the book Marketing Made Simple by Don Miller, he says basically if you can't ask someone for money for your product or service, you don't believe in it enough, right? So basically you have a hobby. You don't really have a business. So it's super important that the chief marketing officer hat is worn on a regular basis. And if that is not your strong suit, man, you better get ready to do it and just kind of do it until you figure it out, because you probably can't afford to hire somebody to do it for you. So as a side hustler, as a small business owner, you must figure out how to create sales. All right, next hat, the chief financial officer.
Talk about the money. Money!
And most people, unless you're starting an accounting business or you're a bookkeeper, you probably won't understand financial statements. This is where it can get really complicated. So we don't really know. We think I have money, so I have money in my hands, so then we must be profitable. I mean, profits and receivables and assets and liabilities and gross profits and funded debt and all these things matter. Working with banks, taking out loans. Should you take on a new project? Is the payback period quick enough? You have the discounted cash flow. All these things really matter. Now, I would suggest if you're a small business owner that if you really can't afford an accountant, even for small things, you probably can't afford to be in business. And there's a ton of stuff available online, and you can get anything on YouTube. You can learn basic accounting. I would say, man, if you're a small business owner, you must learn basic accounting. Maybe you don't have to go into like a debit and credit class like the junior college or whatever, community college, but I'm saying you must be able to look at your financial statement, your profit and loss statement, and you must understand what revenue is, what cost of goods sold are, what gross profit is, what expenses are. All those things you must understand, and you must understand what your net worth is, your tangible net worth is, and all the different ratios and variables that banks look for. So the chief financial officer is a legitimate role, and that hat usually looks really bad on most people. But I would encourage you to learn as much as you can. Find an accountant that you can. If you can only afford it for them to do it, close your books out at the end of the year, do it. Just be a friend to them. Keep your receipts strong and find a way to make it happen where you're not just dropping a bunch of junk on their desk at the end of the year, because you want to keep them on long term. Find a good accountant, right? So we have chief executive, chief operating, chief marketing, and now we just finished chief financial officer. How about the next one? This is the area that a lot of business owners really struggle in. It's a chief risk officer, because most business owners are super optimistic. And I would do, I've done financial statement seminars, cash flow seminars for small business owners, for some Fortune 500 companies, for their customers. And I would start off one of my seminars, and I would say, you know what, the best thing about small business owners is they could believe anything is possible. It's true. Then I would say, you know what the worst thing about small business owners is? They believe anything is possible. It's like they just don't, they don't have a risk mindset.
Still risky.
That's not risk averse at all, right? So they're like, we can make it happen. We just keep pounding and we just do this. And I'll keep saying it. Sometimes you need to have some risk controls in place. That could be insurance. That could be, are you taking on accounts receivable? Are you allowing somebody who you don't really know, can they pay you? Trust me, I've been in the commercial banking for over 2 decades. There's times when people just don't pay their bills. And you might be on the wrong end of that, where things are great. I just made this huge sale, $100,000 worth of widgets, and you gave them 45 days to pay for it because that's how they need to do to make the sale. And it comes day 46, they don't pay. And you're like, I don't want to call them day 46. That might seem kind of crazy, kind of intrusive. I don't want to be that guy. Then day 50 comes by, and day 55 comes by, day 60 comes by, and they're not going to pay you, man. They're just not going to pay you. So guess what? Technically, you made a profit, but you don't have any cash, man. It's gone. Someone else had it. So you have to have risk controls in place. Now, a risk person basically is kind of like thinking, what can go wrong? Let's find out what can go wrong, and let's put controls in place to make sure it doesn't impact us negatively. There are sometimes, you have risks that you can't take them. Let's say you're starting a window washing business. You're a one-person crew, and you just want to wash residential windows, maybe 2-story houses, maybe. And all of a sudden somebody calls you up and says, hey, we have a skyscraper in, down on South Wacker in Chicago. It's 75 stories high, 50 stories high, whatever. We need some window washers, and we'll pay you $1 million a year. And I'm like, wow, $1 million a year? But maybe that risk is too much for you to take. Can you actually accomplish that?
It's too risky.
Do you have the safety equipment in place? All those things, right? So sometimes risks just be avoided altogether. Sometimes you can take risk and you can minimize it, you can mitigate it, you can transfer it with insurance. But if you don't think things can go wrong, you are living in a fairyland, because things can go wrong, they will go wrong. And I'm not saying you have to be to the point where you don't do anything because they might go wrong. All I'm saying is open your eyes, get your head out of the sand, and do a real strong evaluation of your business, and think about what can go wrong, and simply put controls in place to stop it from happening to you. That's all, right? So, all right, chief executive, chief operating, chief marketing, chief financial, chief risk. How about HR? Chief HR officer, human resources officer.
Benefits, good.
So most people, if you're a side hustler, you're gonna have to hire and fire people, even if it's just a one-person show. And a lot of times you're going to do that. You could do that through places like Fiverr or Upwork, but you also may hire contractors, the people. You're not going to put them on the books. You're going to give them a W-9 at the end of the year and just pay them, and they cover taxes and stuff, make it a little easier for yourself. But when you do that, you better have all your I's dotted and your T's crossed. You need to know labor laws in your state. You need to know when overtime is required, and any kind of nuance that comes with human resources issues. You need to learn how to interview people. It's amazing to me. I love being on LinkedIn. If you're on LinkedIn, please find me. Let's connect. I'm always open to meet new people on LinkedIn. But I have a lot of recruiters in my friend group, and it's amazing how they still think that they have all the control when it comes to interviewing people, and that businesses have all the control. They don't understand the symbiotic relationship between employee and employer. And often, they'll talk about people how someone come in interviewing for a job and how they just don't know what they're doing. I'm yet to hear, and I've been doing this for a super long time. As you can tell, I'm pretty old. And I'm a serial interviewer. I love interviewing for jobs because it's always fun to keep yourself sharp. Most people who are conducting interviews have no business conducting interviews. They have no idea what they're doing. They just don't. They don't listen to your answers. So they'll ask you a question later on. They answer the question previously, and they're formulaic. And so you need to learn how to interview people. You need to learn how to judge people and read body language and catch what's not being said and what's being said, what's being emphasized or overemphasized or underemphasized, or what the subtext of the conversation is. And you need to know the laws that go with it. So you don't want to get yourself into a sling, right? So Chief Human Resources Officer. And also you can develop human resources manuals, policies, procedures for your business, best practices, all kinds of stuff is what something, oh my God, do I have to do this as a small business owner? Yeah, you should. Because if you want to take your business or your side hustle and grow it, expand it, that's what will separate you from the competition. Differentiate yourself, right? So Chief Human Resources Officer. The next one is Chief Legal Officer or General Counsel.
I want my lawyer.
Now this one I would wholly recommend, please don't try to do legal stuff on your own. There are some things you might be able to get by on. I highly encourage reading documents and contracts, but I worked in a compliance group for a couple of years in a bank, and it was very eye-opening to me. I'm telling you what, legal professionals, attorneys, paralegals, and people of that nature, compliance pros, they just think differently. And they're not into blue sky thinking. Then what's on the paper matters, and every word matters. And if you want to avoid heartache down the road, I'm telling you, find yourself an attorney and get close to them, snuggle up to them, put a retainer on them, listen to what they say, and take their advice, and don't try to circumvent this. So you will be that to a certain degree, the chief legal officer, the general counsel for your company, unless you already are an attorney and you're starting your own law firm. I'm telling you, you don't know what you're doing. I would not trust this. We're in the process, my wife and I are in the process of looking at a business venture right now, and we're doing some legwork up front, making sure we understand everything, but we have to have an attorney look at what we're doing. It makes it so much easier, because then they can just say, hey, read this, kind of tell me what it means, because every document they say it's simple to understand, but that's not true. Every word changes things, and it's really important that we understand the legal ramifications of our business, right? And the last one I want to talk today is a chief technology officer.
Technology.
I did this book I wrote, and it was released in June of 2023. It was a seminar I conducted at it's called the Band of Brothers Conference in Crown Point, Indiana, a few years ago. And it was a business group of these Christian business owners, and I spoke to them, and I did this, and I only had a half an hour to speak. So I did like 4 or 5 of them, I can't remember what it was, but I left off this one, the Chief Technology Officer. And a guy caught me after my little talk, and he's like, hey, I really enjoyed your talk, and he's like, you really should include this. And I kind of like, made an excuse. I only had 30 minutes, but the truth was, I'm not a technology person, right? I'm not. So I started thinking about it more, and I said, I definitely need to include this, because it's easy for us to throw money at technology to fix problems. And everything now. So what technology does, let's go back to the chief risk officer. Technology has the ability often to eliminate operational risk, because machines aren't going to make mistakes unless we make a mistake. So a computer program, if it's designed correctly, will not make mistakes that humans will make. So it's going to eliminate operational risk. But we all have phones. We have social media is huge. You're a small business owner or a side hustler and you're on social media. One bad night, one too many cocktails, and you could blow your whole business in just a matter of 15 seconds, right? So you need to think like a technology person. And I would also recommend, this is one of those areas that's probably helpful to find somebody that knows more than you. I mean, do you use the Google suite or do you use the Microsoft suite? You know, what kind of payment processing company are you using for your taking payments? You know, are you using a CRM system? Do you have to? Planning, a scheduling software, all those things matter. And since you're the CEO and the CFO and the CMO, you can actually make these decisions. But once in a while, you get to put that hat on and say, not just throw money at a situation and say, oh my God, we need something, and then just buy whatever because someone else is selling to you. Everybody's selling something. If they sell to you, but you need to think through the chief technology person stuff and do the pros and cons and figure out exactly what it is that you need for your business. A scheduling software for a dog grooming business will be a lot different than a barber shop, right? So take your time and don't just throw money at something because you can easily start investing money in situations and heading down the wrong road. Then later on, it costs you more. So if you're looking for a cheap solution, you're going to get a cheap solution. But if you're thinking down the road, do your homework. Don't believe every salesperson that says something to you. Find out exactly what you need, and you should know because you're the CEO, the COO, the CMO, the CRO, the CFO, the CTO, right? So there you go. You have these hats, and you have to wear them once in a while. If you always keep the chief executive officer hat on, you won't actually ever think about risk. If you're thinking about marketing, you may not think about technology. So it's important to bring balance to your business and to your side hustle. And if you want to, take a look on Amazon for my book called Next Level, and it's specifically designed for small business owners, side hustlers, and bivocational pastors. That's kind of my thing, right? Anyway, I hope this message has been a blessing to you. I will continue going on. I'll dig into each one deeper for like 10 minutes each so we can expand on it and help you. So these are free, obviously, right here on YouTube. So, all right. Well, thank you for joining me today. I dare you to profit so that you can practice and promote radical, revolutionary generosity. I will see you soon with a new video. Blessings.